War is a matter of vital importance to the state, a matter of life or death, the road either to survival or to ruin. Hence, it is imperative that it be studied thoroughly. Sun Tzu's Art of War starts with the first chapter or lesson named Estimates. In order to properly calculate the outcome of a war, a general should compare 5 fundamental factors. Those are politics, weather, terrain, the commanders, and doctrine. He describes those factors briefly. Politics refer to the relationship and confidence of the population into its leader. Weather covers night, day, the climate, and the change in seasons. Terrain is about distances and the ease of movement and other influences. The commander is about the general's quality, namely wisdom, sincerity, benevolence, courage, and strictness. And finally, doctrine is about the organization of the army and its officers and logistics. Based on these factors, he proposes to ask the following questions when preparing a plan. Which ruler is wise and more able? Which commander is more talented? Which army obtains the advantages of nature and the terrain? In which army are regulations and instructions better carried out? Which troops are stronger? Which army has the better trained officers and men? Which army administers rewards and punishment in a more enlightened and correct way? Based on the answers to these questions, generals should take actions to exploit any advantages further. One important measure for this is deception. All warfare is based on deception. For instance, feigning incapacity when one is able to strike, feign mobility while one is mobile, irritating a choleric enemy commander to cloud his judgment, etc. Generally, strike when you are strong while the enemy is weak. Evade the enemy when you are weak while he is strong. Yet to do so, one must know about the enemy's capabilities and one's own. Hence, without proper estimates, reports, and calculations, one is rather limited in making effective decisions. Now let's revisit those 5 factors and bring them into a modern setup. The first one, politics, is still quite fitting, although I would call it willingness to fight or moral. Furthermore, I would define it a bit wider, to accommodate for larger societies and modern political structures. Thus it is the combination of political and popular support to continue or fight a war. The points weather and terrain I would combine into one category, calling it geographical conditions, which includes the geographical and meteorological factors. Now, one factor that is clearly missing from modern war is industry, which also includes technology and resources, which one could call intellectual and material resources of the industry. Many mentioned in the simple model of war video that technology was missing. Yet technology is an integral part of industry because researching, prototyping and manufacturing are an incremental process. A blueprint without proper production capability is just a piece of paper. This becomes more apparent if one looks at the various shortcomings of pre-production types, and even gets way more influential when a new piece of equipment gets mass produced. The next factor was the commander. I would reform it into a bigger and more generic institution and call it the High Command, which is both the military and political leadership, and also includes the military intelligence apparatus. The final factor, doctrine, I would rename into armed forces, although the sub-factors would be basically the same, with organizations, officers and logistics. Now let's look at a modern example where wrong estimates played a vital role. So far the most interesting I have encountered and covered was the Battle of Britain. Why? Because both sides made grave errors in assessing the enemy's capabilities. In order to compare the strength of the forces, one must formulate 2 questions. What is the initial balance of force? And what is the projected balance of force? Now to properly answer these questions, we need 3 numbers. The initial strength, the number of replacements, and the number of losses. For the Battle of Britain, the British got the first, second, and third number wrong, whereas the Germans got the second and third number wrong. At first you might think, well, the Germans were less wrong, so they should have made a better assumption. Well, this wasn't the case, because they were wrong in the wrong way. They underestimated the replacements output of the British, whereas the British overestimated the replacement output of the Germans. As a result, the Germans grossly underestimated the projected balance of force. Meanwhile, the British took actions to conserve forces in order to sustain against a much larger perceived enemy, Why did both got the numbers wrong? Well, both based their estimates of the enemy's output on their own output. Remember, with more careful calculations one can win, with less one cannot. As always, all sources are in the description, as are the links to Facebook and Twitter. If you like this video, you might want to take a look at the video on why intelligence failures happen, or my Battle of Britain series. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.